Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to those of you joining us around the world. This is the Ask the Expert session for Digital Breakout 129. It's a continuation of the conversation for session Responsibly Scaling Power Apps with a Low-Code Center of Excellence. First off, thank you for joining us. We would like to thank you for your patience and understanding as we dealt with some technical difficulties during our broadcast earlier today. Please know we will be re-showing that session twice more during our event over the next 2 days, and hope that you'll be able to join us again. We will also have that session available on demand after the event. I'll be going over some quick housekeeping items, and then we will dive straight in with our experts today. So quickly, how to engage with us this afternoon. Please type your questions into the chat box. Your questions will appear to all the attendees once we are able to go through them on our moderation side. Please vote for your favorite questions using the thumbs up button. That will let our experts know that it is a popular question and one that many of you are asking. We will answer you verbally and over chat. We'll be going through them as we see those thumbs up and what is most popular. We'll also provide you resources in the chat and verbally as the session goes on so that you have multiple ways to learn more. We would like to also remind you of the Microsoft Code of Conduct. It is posted in the chat window and here on your screen as well. As a reminder, we will be recording the session and ask that you do not record or take pictures on your end. Please take a moment to review the Code of Conduct yourself. And we will go ahead and let our experts introduce themselves at this point. James, would you like to kick it off?
Sure. Hi, my name is James Lenick. I am a program manager and enterprise architect for the Power Apps team here at Microsoft. Very excited to see you all today. Manuel, you want to go next?
Sure. Hello. Hi. I'm a program manager on the Power Apps customer advisory team. So we work closely with our marquee customers to accelerate their adoption of the Power Platform. So really excited to be talking to you today.
Thanks, James. Hi, everyone. My name is Anupama. I'm the GPM for governance for Power Platform. Great to see you all in this session. Looking forward to a great interaction today.
Awesome. So what we're going to do today is we'll publish the questions that we're going to answer to the chat. And the first one, Anupma, is actually from Rick. He asked about the security and risks assessment that Ryan mentioned, and just wanted to learn a little bit more around that when that's coming. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, the Power Platform Security Center is our offering in the CSPM space, similar to Azure Security Center. We will be building something natively in Power Platform Admin Center, wherein you can look at both static as well as dynamic behavior-based risk assessment across Canvas apps as well as API flows, and we'll then be expanding coverage to other Power Platform asset types as well. As part of this effort, we'll also take sort of typical threat detection like spurious IP, etc., and channel some of these threats through the MCAS threat detection dashboard as well. So yeah, let me know if you are looking for any other specifics.
Awesome. And I think the next question was also from Rick Mamola around the self-service portal for makers.
In the Seawee Starter Kit, yes, absolutely. So what we've seen through working with a lot of customers is that many have a lot of resources that they want to make available to their makers, like a wiki page with where they publish the policies, the teams, or a Yammer community for their champions. Sometimes Canvas applications where makers can request environments or additional solutions or additional information. So what we're looking to do is kind of have a one-stop shop for makers to get all the information they need to be successful in their organization to build Power Apps. So we'll be categorized kind of in 4 pillars. Help me start, help me learn, help me grow and help me succeed. It's just like a link collection to some of our internal, like some of our Microsoft published learning material, like the MS Learn paths that are available on MS Learn, and some material that the admin or Seawee lead would provide links to internal documentation and wiki pages, so that could then be embedded in your SharePoint site, in your Teams channel, as kind of the first page that a maker can interact with to get the information that they need to follow your policies and your guidelines.
Awesome. So yeah, so the next question from Mikhail was around like basically the awesomeness of the COE starter kit, and that's Manuela. That is really her brainchild. But he really asked the question around having enough capacity to deploy it, and speaks to only have a gig of available storage, specifically in the context of Office 365 tenants. And I know this is a piece of feedback that we've heard a lot so far. I do want to call out that although it may not be something that you can employ right now, is that the ability to purchase additional CDS capacity is available to all tenants. So even if your organization is one that doesn't have and is not paying for Power Apps paid licenses either under the single app plan or the per user plan, you still can purchase additional capacity if you want through capacity add-ons that are available. So although that may not solve the problem here, it is a way of expanding on your capacity. And I know that the feedback around the Seawee toolkit being deployed on CDS and requiring kind of an environment to deploy is feedback we've received. We don't have any plans or anything to announce around that, but I know that is something that we're evaluating internally. Cool.
For the Seawee toolkit specifically, so I think one of the things we're looking at is that the admin functionality that we offer will continue to require a premium license, but it should only be your admin persona that needs that license. What we're looking at is some of those some of the tools within the kit that should be available to a more broader audience, to make those available on the seeded license. So we don't have any no timelines yet, but it's definitely something we hear obviously a lot of feedback on. So something we're evaluating on the possibilities of, obviously still working with the dev resources that we have on the kit.
And I know there were a lot of questions from folks around the deck and the replays being available. So there are some other replays going on at different time slots, and I know that decks are going to be available post-event for people to go download. So just to make sure that's available. So so Christian asked the next question. It's around basically the permissions propagating to the default environment, and the ability to create model-driven apps, and exactly trying to understand around the licensing logic. I don't know if Numa, you want to speak to it. I can maybe speak to it too.
Yeah, please do go ahead, James.
Yeah, so I think that the number one, I think this is an issue that I know has been known in our platform a while, which is that that we kind of automatically, I think, have the ability for people to build model-driven apps within the default environment from a permissioning perspective if they're a licensed user. I think the goal is that the team is evaluating providing control around the scenario. I don't think we have anything today that I'm aware of. I know that we have visibility around those assets that are created, but I know that this is a piece of feedback that we have received, and then we're evaluating internally around what types of management controls we give over the ability to create model-driven apps specifically within the default environment, because we do recognize that permission kind of gets synced in as a part of the user getting access to that environment. So that it's been this way for a while, and I know it's something that we're evaluating. I don't have a great answer for you, unfortunately. So let's see here. I'm looking at the new ones here. When will it be possible to, so Christian asked a great question, when will it be possible to back up and restore apps and flows within code and automate? So this is actually something that's top of mind, which is we have actually an entire work stream really around adding full solutioning and application lifecycle management support to all of the Canvas app and Flow assets. My understanding of this work stream is that the team is really striving over the next 6 months and hopefully sooner to basically have all of those gaps closed. And what that will mean is that any environment lifecycle operations that are supported today, copy, reset, backup, that Power Apps and Flow would participate in that same process, the same way that model-driven app assets and historical CDS and Dynamics assets kind of do today automatically. So really, this is top of mind for the team to light up within the next 6 months. I don't have like a specific date for you that we've announced, but it is actually something that the team's actually actively working on right away today. And we really acknowledge that it is a gap. It's something we've been working to fix. Let's see here, what's the next one? Let's see here. Ooh, Jamie asks, are there any new features coming to the Seawee starter kit, Manuela?
Yes, we've got an exciting and rich and ever-growing roadmap. So we're never lacking ideas.
Yes.
So
in fact, it's in the deck for today's session that you don't have. So
yeah, some of the I think 6 of the new features that we're looking at that we're currently working on were in the deck. So one of the things is that the thing I mentioned earlier is the self-service portal, which is just going to be like a one-screen application. We're also like really looking at some of the nurture components that can lead to kind of embracing your maker and end user community more. So we're building an innovation backlog at the moment for your end users to submit ideas and describe what the business value they're trying to solve, and then being able to match that up with a Power Platform developer in your organization that can kind of pick an idea and build that and really describe the value. Also can be used obviously during a hackathon to kind of cherry pick what can be built. So that's one of the things. And then another thing is one of our customers is calling it a brag board, but we're kind of probably going with power stories. So the ability to share internal success stories. So if you've got makers that you've discovered through as a Seawee lead, and you really want to share and emphasize the success they've had and the value they've added through the platform, the ability to kind of put together a newsletter and post that or share that with your executive leaders in a nicely formatted way. So those are some of the things, but definitely like a real focus on nurture. And then what we've what's going to be part of the UI flow sessions. We're also now supporting analytics and telemetry for UI flows. So in the dashboard, you'll be able to see how many your inventory of UI flows and the run history of those. So yeah, just a top level overview.
Great. So the next question is in regard to environments. So claim here is someone deleted the default environment, and so you should not be able to delete your default environment today. That should be blocked from the experience. So I'm not sure how they did that, first and foremost. And I think the second question is around executive Power Platform solutions. Is there a way to set permissions on them? I don't have the ability to create environments and didn't see how to do this in the documentation. So there is some doc articles on the Power Apps admin documentation around the creation of environments. In general, anyone who has a Power Apps license has the ability to create environments unless an administrator has actually restricted environment creation for Power Apps production or trial environments. Note that the ability to create additional trial environments is dictated based on the available capacity that you have within the organization. So you need enough, at least 1 gig of CDS capacity in order to create environments. And there is detail there around the security of the environments and who has access to what based on the roles you have access to. So I'll reply to that one post and share a link to the environment creation documentation. Here's a good question from Ali, and maybe Anupma and Manuel, you can give your opinion. Any plans to add the Power Platform Seawee circuit to the admin center so the customers don't have to go through installation? So maybe talk about what we've done with installation recently, and then if we have any plans to pull it into a more first-class way.
Manuel, do you want to first take the installation?
Yeah, I'll start. If you follow the Power Apps blog closely, you know that at the beginning of the week, we've released a modern solution import experience that makes the import of solutions a lot easier, a lot smoother by using connection references within flows. We've updated the Seawee starter kit to use connection references as well now. That was released yesterday, and now the tried and tested install takes about 10 minutes instead of 50. So hopefully that will make it a lot smoother for you to get started with the kit. And then I'll let Anupma talk to some of the features that are inspiring the roadmap, I guess.
Right. So indeed, we are working very actively on bringing a lot of analytics as well as the reactive governance workflows directly and natively into Power Platform Admin Center. Early next semester, around November, December timeframe, Ryan also spoke to, you would see tenant level reports come up in Power Platform Admin Center for the assets, wherein you can then drill down by environment type as well as individual environment. And then we'll back up all of these analytics with rich reactive governance workflows, wherein you can, using natively Power Platform Admin Center, engage your makers in similar capabilities that COE Toolkit offers today. We'll continue to support COE Toolkit as a customization portal. So while out-of-box reports should take care of 80–90% of your typical organization requirements, you do realize and recognize every organization is unique, and sometimes customizations is what you need. So we are working closely with Manuela and COE Toolkit team to also figure out the customization/scale story for COE Toolkit while the out-of-box capabilities will continue to grow.
Thank you, Anupma. And there's, just keeping going on the train with you, Bart asked a question, are there DLP improvements coming that would allow designating a connector as read-only instead of read-write? And maybe you could just speak to a couple of DLP enhancements that we know are coming, because I know you have a lot on the backlog here.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, Ryan's deck didn't play out. So we covered quite a lot of new improvements coming in DLP in near term. So we are going to offer, specifically to your question, connector action control, which will provide you similar capabilities, albeit a little bit more richly, in the sense you have governance controls for every individual action on a per connector basis. In addition, we are adding more granular controls around endpoint filtering. So for in the first phase, for some example connectors such as SQL, you will be able to specify using the DLP policies that I want to connect to this particular SQL server and not that particular SQL server. So some of these capabilities are coming soon, as well as even outside of DLP, we are ramping up security and governance. We have recently announced as part of Ryan's tech enability to self-serve tenant isolation. So that's an important, powerful control where you as an admin can control inbound and outbound cross-tenant connections in Power Platform, as well as support and allow list. Another thing which we talked about in the session, Ignite session today, was around SMTP header support that you can use in exchange to set up rules based on Power Platform SMTP headers to block exfiltration of emails from your tenant. So a lot of rich capabilities coming in DLP and outside of DLP as far as security governance controls are concerned.
Yeah, very exciting to see all the progress that we're making here from a product perspective. I'm excited. BLO asks, do you foresee CDS becoming available without the premium license? And actually, it's interesting because just recently and kind of with Ignite, we have Project Oakdale rolling out, which is effectively bringing a version of CDS and the low-code data platform really that it encompasses to Teams. And that's actually included within the Teams license without a premium license. So that's actually available, and we have a bunch of rollout going on right now around that. And so that is really exactly what you asked for. It's not very often we get to people exactly what they asked for, but that is available right now. And there's actually a lot of news going on around that and across Ignite and some of the other sessions that we have going on for Power Apps. So let's hear Mario. I actually don't know the answer for this, so Anupma, maybe you know. He asks, the Power Platform management connectors are still marked as preview. When will they GA? Actually, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, at this point in time, we are not tracking a specific GA date for Power Platform admin connectors. That being said, we are very conscientious about making sure all of the new capabilities are well reflected in the admin connectors. But I don't have a good answer as of today on when the GA date is planned for these connectors.
Okay, that's fine. Mark asks, how do we control access to create Power Apps? We have Office E3 licenses, and we've turned off Power Apps in Office 365, but users can still create Power Apps. And we want to restrict this access to the development team, presumably within the default environment he's asking here, Newman. I think this might be where some of the new DLP capabilities come into play here. Specifically, the ability of actually blocking connectors, I think, would be one of the best strategies, Mark, that you would be able to have, and Numa, correct me if I'm wrong, is that now in the default environment, you can choose which connectors people can build against. So our vision, very much is that the default environment, at minimum, can be a place where people can build against their Office 365 data sources, in addition to any of the other ones that they have access to. But if you want to be more restrictive than that, within the default environment, you now have that control coming with the new DLP capabilities. And Numa, please jump in. Let me know if I misstated anything there.
No, yeah, you were right on point there, James. Indeed, the license today does not control the maker experience. However, it would indeed control your maker sharing the app with any of the users. So the user access definitely is all license control. And as James pointed out, like bulk of our platform connectors, if you are concerned about the default environment, are now blockable. That's a feature we took into public preview and now is GA. So except for a few Office connectors, if you're really concerned about the default connector, everything else you can now go ahead and block. So that could be an effective tool.
Got it. Well, thank you. Anonymous asked a question. Basically, is all this goodness available for the default environment that you guys are talking about in terms of governance capabilities? And do we have any specific strategies around the list form apps for SharePoint? So the embedded list forms. I don't know if we, so number one, it's all available because those, the customized list forms for SharePoint are really, at the end of the day, models as apps in the default environment. I don't know if we publish any specific strategies around governance for SharePoint in particular. Do you know, Anupma or Manuel? I don't think we have that today.
So some of the things we are actively considering, if indeed admins want to control who can create custom forms, is an ability that, and take it with a pinch of salt because it's only under consideration, it's not under active development. But the thought process is to allow admins to pivot specific SharePoint sites to non-default environments, wherein you can, as an admin, control the maker list. So some of that thought process is in place, and we'll keep you all posted as it becomes more robust.
Got it. I'm just glancing through. Casey asked an interesting question around, hey, I see all the awesome capacity data in the admin center around the number of environments, but I want to pull all of that CDS DB usage data file and log data in to my own reporting in an actionable way, and even in conjunction with the Seawee toolkit. I know that Numa, this reporting is kind of top of mind to us, right? In terms of both licensing and capacity in addition to usage. I don't think we have anything we're communicating today, but I do know it's something that we're actively, like we've heard this feedback before, right? And maybe speak to that.
So, so basically, think of a three-pronged approach wherever we are looking at the admin analytics information. There is definitely going to be out-of-box reports. So capacity as a case in point, you do see the information right now in out-of-box reports, and we would be adding API and licensing reports into Power Platform Admin Center soon. So if you think of that as the first pillar, the second pillar is, as I spoke to, about customizing and creating custom dashboards on top. And that strategy will keep alive through the COE toolkit. And last but not the least, to your point, if you want to start from scratch and build your own custom dashboards, then being able to self-serve the data, including all of the CDS capacity data, is very much part of our roadmap, and we'll continue to communicate through these forms as the dates become more real. But all of the CDS usage data, being able to offer them in your data lake, like part of what Ryan spoke to in the Ignite session, was a preview offering that will go live soon, where Canvas app inventory and telemetry data can be self-served, wherein you can set up a ADLS instance and we can push data to you. Similarly, the CDS information will always also go in. Another thing, if CDS has been top of mind, is we spoke to it in the Ignite session. There is a preview offering coming soon through Power Platform Admin Center, where you can take all of the CDS perf and diagnostic data and then set up an App Insights workflow where we do provide some rudimentary toolkit to get you up and running. So if your interest is to look at deep dive into CDS performance and CDS diagnostic, that is an interesting and exciting offering that you should look at. But definitely for capacity for licensing, being able to self-serve that data is something which is clearly on our roadmap, and we'll get the dates real to you.
Thank you, Numa. Barry asks, is it feasible to establish an active app development team for an organization just using the free, presumably the Office seeded plans? I guess the idea is this team starts off there and then is looking to create apps for production use. I was wondering if you could speak to that. I know we have many examples of companies doing just that.
Yeah, indeed. So we have quite a lot of customers who start off with the standard seeded licenses, and then as they kind of discover more critical workloads that might need a more mature security model, they then move to solutions on the common data service. But usually it's kind of a mix of both. And we do have some organizations. And like let me find your question in the chat, and I'll share the example of Schlumberger with you. So they've got what they call digital cells. They are deeply embedded in their business units, and they take care of the digital transformation for that specific business unit. So for example, for HR, and a lot of their use cases are on the seeded and standard licenses. So yes.
That's great. Let's see here. So, oh, we have 2 minutes left. Sorry, I'm going to try to scan through. So, someone asked, anonymous asked, is there a plan to implement the ability to push Power Apps via Microsoft Intune? Got to be honest there. My understanding is that Power Apps was an Intune supported app. If you, in terms of pushing the actual Power Apps app to the devices. Now, if you're asking around pushing specific apps within Power Apps via Intune, that is not something that's supported today, that more like sub-app management, but you should be able to manage the actual wrapper player app via Intune today. That's my understanding, that we've had this for over a year right now. Let's see here. Just scanning through. Feel free if anyone else sees some good ones. There's a lot of questions here. Jung asks, if we can't block the SharePoint connector, then how do we create the personal productivity only environment? So presumably Onuma, they'll have that capability right now, right, with the new capabilities with DLP. Let's see here. Here's a good one from Andrew, and I don't know. We could talk through it. What is the best practice for preventing the reuse of the implicitly shared on-prem data gateway connectors in new apps, when the data connectors have been previously implicitly shared with the end users previously through another Power App? Anuma, I think that might be a good one for you.
Right. So part of DLP controls, we are slightly later on the timeline introducing admin governance control for implicitly as well as explicitly shared connection usage. So to begin with, we would ensure that any app which is using implicitly shared connections cannot be used. And then in fullness of time, we'll go ahead and even at the time of like sharing the connection, both for implicit as well as explicit, be able to bring that control sort of in a backward filling way. But around, I think, December is what we're tracking to offer a basic control, where if admin wants, they can backpressure those shared controls. Connections in Power Apps and flows.
Okay, let's see here.
Everyone, at this time, we'd love to keep going, but we are at time, so we know you have a lot of questions. Please join us for our next Ask the Expert session later on today, or pop those questions in the form that we've provided in chat, and we'll keep engaging with you in our community, across our other sessions. Thank you for your patience, for your interaction, for your time. This has been fantastic. Thank you to our experts, and we will see you at our next session. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you all. Got through as many as we could.
Thank you.